G'day, this is Captainoob, and what you're watching right now is an update video on my newest companion mod being created. I've been working on this one for a while now, and instead of saying nothing about it, I actually want to give you a little bit of a idea of what is happening here. So if you want to experience this mod afresh as it is released, maybe you feel like doing that, then I suggest leaving the video now because, yeah, this will be taking a tour of what I've got so far. Okay, spoilers start now. So, all of this is subject to change. In fact, I'm not really sure on the location of it yet, but as a starting point, here we are in Spectacle Island, and what we'll find in this little shack here is a Secret Service training complex. Anyways, once inside, it'll look like a pretty stock standard cell, but once you get down here, it starts to get a little bit more interesting. This is the mission control room. This is where Charlie's Angels get to work. They receive their missions from their boss from this radio, and this is the general direction of where they go. They just point out onto a map, and that sort of thing. I have a nav mesh to this particular cell, so hopefully Winter will be able to follow us. That's why I brought her with us. And going down here, we've got more of a lounge room area, or more of a dining room area. There's places to eat, cook food, and all of that stuff. So it's like a living space as well as a, Secret Service training system. We'll get to that in a little bit, but here is a quiet lounge room in front of the fireplace if you ever want to pull up a book and read. And yeah, we'll get started on the actual different cells attached to this place. We've also got a generator over here, and this, we'll get to that later. But first of all, we want to find out where we get all of our weapons from. And here they are in the armory and the shooting range. Once inside here, you'll be greeted with a couple of propaganda posters. I'm actually aiming to put more posters up as I get this mod going, but let's have a look at the armory. This place is full of weapons. Now, what you're seeing right now is the weapons that have fallen down from their little rack there. The flamers tend to stay and the Gatling lasers do, but the fat men just seem to fall over, and that brings out the miniguns and the missile launchers with them. All of these crates contain some of the weapons that I've had in my previous companion mods. Nothing too advanced here, just the real basic ones. And here you'll pretty much find every single vanilla weapon in the game for you to use. There's a crafting ammo bench or a crafting bench here for you to use, and a whole lot of ammo for you to loot. That's how they're all armed. We've just got a pile of ammo boxes here. That's the reason. There's also a few military trunks. These do have legendaries in them just because of a mod. Oh, that's a Deadeye 10mm. And a couple more explosive boxes, a couple more unique stuff over here. That's basically it for the armory. Now, they ought to get used to these weapons before, being used in combat. So there's a little bit of a shooting range down here, just with some targets that I think are from Vault 7096 something. Where the vaults where the gunners come from, there's actually assets like this that I've just used as a targeting range there. They actually have a little bit of animation to them. Nothing too much else in here. That's just more of a weapon testing thing. Maybe you want to grab something and just test it by firing at targets, although it's not very boring. More on targeting and firing, testing weapons later. But right now, we're going into the power armor room. This is where all of the power armor is stored up, and it's got a suit for each of the different companions, and it all works here. This is a duplicate of Phoebe's power armor. Same thing as you'd find in her particular mod, but you can actually give her an extra suit if you feel like it, if you download both this mod and Phoebe's one when it comes out. More of just random crap around here. If you have the Scrounger and also the bottle cap finding perks, you can actually find ammo and caps in all of these. So there's actually plenty of good loot to be had, but it's sort of a cheat mod in that way. Never mind. So, we know the basics of how this place works. They get a gun, they shoot it, but it's not really going to give them any sort of combat experience, and that is why I've set up this VR room. So what you're looking at here is basically all of those assets from that minigame where you go into Deemer's Mind, except lined up here in sort of an arena. And basically how it's going to work here is you're going to grab these grenades and they'll spawn in a Deathclaw in this case. This is the only one I've actually created, but I'm planning on making one of each and every creature. They're all scaled to your level, so there'll be varying threat levels depending on how high a level you are, and there's an escape door going back into the complex. Now that's all well and good, but where are they going to live? Well, there's some living quarters over here. It's worth mentioning this room is currently vacant there. There's nothing actually linked to there. I'll need to create a new cell for that. I'm not actually sure what to do there just yet. Perhaps I'll think of something later, but here is living quarters. So as you walk into here, you can find these computers which store all of the Secret Service training information, and that is why my angels are so good in combat. That's why they're all Mary Sue's, because they've learned from these computers, right? And here you have a storeroom just with some boxes and things for you to loot if you feel like it, and some lockpicking training that's actually inspired from the Thieves Guild in Skyrim. There's also one of these there. Don't use it, it's cursed. It doesn't actually do anything. Anyways, here we are in the main section here. There's bathrooms here for men and women. Next up, we've got a laundry, complete with a dryer and a washing machine there. And there is all of the clothes in the basket there, all ready to be washed. Now we've got some place for them to keep their hygiene practices up, clean up after a day of shooting gunners. And here is the sick bay / medical clinic. I stole father's sick bed from this, and you can actually sleep in that. That's basically going to be like the healing stations, kind of like how XCOM, you've got the sick bay and you have your people in there if they're wounded, and they'll sit in the beds and then they'll slowly heal. Here's the operating table. This is actually a loading screen asset, but it's good though because it's got collision to it. There we go, and there's some more medical supplies, a couple of other things there like the extractor chair. This one is Rain's chair. She gets hooked on chems and she goes into that. Anyways, moving on from this, we've got a swimming pool because you need to know how to swim when you're in the Commonwealth. There's quite a bit of water going around, so being a strong swimmer is very important to being a useful combatant. And here is the gym where they can upgrade their agility, their endurance, and their strength, and also have one-on-one sparring matches to improve their melee and unarmed skills. See, this is all reasons to why they're so good at what they do, because they're Secret Service people and agents, and they're all Charlie's Angels under my control, and I'm just rambling now. Now we have the actual rooms. These are actually unfinished at this point. This one is obviously Winter's room with the Brotherhood of Steel flag. And this is Matilda's room with the Minuteman flags and all of those things set up there. This particular room is Rain's. This one over here is Bridget's, as indicated by the gunner symbols there. A little bit bare bones for this one, but hopefully I'll find some good unique assets to put in there. All of these rooms actually have a terminal with an email system, so if you want to snoop through their emails, you can have a little bit of read of that. And this is Alla's room here with the railroad stuff. Also, this thing in there. Not too much. Oh, hello, Winter. Okay, looks like the nav mesh works a little bit. This is Phoebe's room with all of the Institute assets. And a microscope there. That should be linked to some sort of idle animation, so she should actually use that. And this is Kylie's room. She's the power armor mechanic of the team, so she has a lot of tools and all of that in her room, as well as a terminal with the rest of them. And here is Iris's room, filled with Children of Adam flags, a little shrine. There's an actual idle animation lined up to here. NPCs will do it, but you can't access it as a player. But if Iris is down there, hopefully she'll do that. And yeah, that is basically it for the living quarters. One huge, giant corridor. It's not all that interesting, so I did cut it off in the middle there just to make it seem a little bit shorter. But it looks like the nav meshes work for some reason. Anyways, I think that is about it. That is the full progress of the cells so far. There's also some Nuka World games here for them to, you know, play if they're bored. These actually aren't all that functional. Looks like they might be, so yeah. You can earn a Nuka-Cade tickets here, I suppose. I'm going to make that a thing because, you know, although you're going to have to go to Nuka World to redeem them, oh well. Also, yeah, it's worth mentioning that this will require all of the DLCs from the game. I'll possibly create a light version that doesn't require the DLCs, but most of this stuff will be absent, so it'll not be the full experience and probably not as good of an experience. You just some Slender Man shit right there, Winter. Anyways, I think that is about it in my Mad Max costume here. I think you get the idea of this. Any suggestions or possible additions, feel free to add your thoughts below, and maybe even some criticisms here and there, because yeah, I'm not really that much of an interior designer, to be honest. Most of this stuff probably doesn't look all that flash, but yeah, be sure to let me know your thoughts below. Thank you for watching, guys.